What's up everybody, I'm the Mangoose, you are awesome, and Predecessor released their take on Dekker. In an effort to make her a more dynamic support, they rearranged and added some things to her kit, and we're going to take a look at it today. We'll also take a quick look at Howitzer since they teased a few changes to his kit during the Dekker ability overview. I had completely missed that, but Not Rebel Oasis pointed it out to me during the premiere for the Minions, and Rubo was there and he confirmed it. So yeah, big shout out to them for being there and pointing this out to me. After we're done going through the kits, I'm going to take a moment to express some of the concerns I have with the strength of her abilities. It isn't fair to be overly critical until we can actually play her in game, but as anyone who has already watched the Dekker reveal will tell you, she looks like a goddamn monster. First up is her passive, which is her old Rocket Boots ability. Instead of activating this with a right click like you used to, you'll be able to perform a rocket boost jump by tapping the spacebar after jumping to effectively double jump. This is on a 20-second cooldown, however, you can lower the cooldown by 3 seconds by casting an ability. You don't even have to land it, you just gotta cast it. What I'm wondering is how her passive will work with Predecessor's item Moon Boots. I forget what they're actually called, I think it's Gravity Greaves, maybe? I don't know. But it's the boot item that lets you occasionally super jump. So if you equip this item and use her rocket boost, can you like moon boot jump, then rocket boots up, and then like touch the fucking clouds and bonk Muriel as she flies by? In all seriousness though, I love the playmaking potential of that combo. I mean, imagine a team fight in the Prime Pit, Dekker is like nowhere to be found, and all of a sudden she comes all fury from the sky directly into the middle of the pit, performs a proper PLF, and then commences the ass kickery. They need to give her an 80-second skin complete with 4 of a kind aces on her shoulders. That would be badass. Now her Q ability is Photon Disruptor. Don't worry, she still has Stasis Bomb, it's just been moved. Photon Disruptor is a beam that fires along a line that damages and slows enemies by 20% for 1.5 seconds. Leveling this up does not increase the slow amount or duration, but instead increases the amount of damage it deals. 80 at rank 1 up to 100 at rank 4 with an extra 50% of her energy power tacked on. The cooldown also decreases as you rank it up and the mana cost increases. From what I understand, this ability is a replacement for her old slow bubble. They wanted something a bit more dynamic for her kit. This should be a lot of fun to use, however, you won't be able to slow as many people, I mean, unless of course they all line up like a bunch of fucking idiots, but it takes away some of the skill of the bubble since you could pop it early for extra damage depending on how long the bubble was up. Looking at the two abilities, I think, especially with the rest of her kit, that I prefer this iteration of her slow. It looks better, it'll overall take more skill to use well, and it gives her more dynamic poke potential. Now here comes the biggie, her E. This is now a condensed version of her old ultimate, Containment Fence. You bring forth a circular barrier that enemies are unable to pass through. Enemy projectiles can get through it, but whoever's in there is trapped unless they blink or use like a Gideon portal or some other movement ability or some shit. This is a much smaller version of Containment Fence, which is both more and less effective in my opinion. On one hand, you can't trap as many people, but those you do trap don't have as much room to avoid area of effect attacks. This is on a 23-second cooldown at level 1, and that decreases to 19 seconds at level 4. Leveling the ability increases the mana cost while also increasing the amount of time the fence is active from 2.25 seconds at level 1 to 3.25 seconds at level 4. This is the main aspect of her new kit that has me a bit uneasy. We all know how effective that cage was in Paragon, and now she'll be able to cast it more often, albeit in a smaller area. Let's not forget though that the cage had an activation time in Paragon and seems to have one in Predecessor as well. Actually catching someone in this without stunning or slowing them first will probably be a pretty difficult task. Speaking of stuns, her good old Stasis Bomb is now bound to her right click. You launch a bomb that can bounce off terrain that stuns enemies in a small area when it impacts, so you can stun multiple people if you're close enough. Well, if they're close enough, I should say. In Predecessor, the duration of the stun is affected by how far the bomb travels, so it's 0.6 to 1.2 seconds of stun time at level 1, and 1 to 2 seconds of stun time at level 4, so like if they're real close, it's 0.6 seconds, if it's max range, it's 1.2 seconds at level 1. Leveling the ability decreases the cooldown, increases the mana cost, and also increases the damage from 80 to 220 with 50% magical damage scaling. I like that they're rewarding players for hitting the long bombs. There are a few things more satisfying than launching that beach ball from forever away and beating somebody in the grate while they're trying to run away, then watching your team catch up to them. Or even better, like they're really low health and you catch them with it and it actually kills them. Oh, that's such a great feeling. So with Containment Fence now being a basic ability, what is her ultimate? It's called Ion Strike. You call down a beam of energy in an area. There is an inner and an outer circular component to the targeting indicator. Anyone caught in the outer ring takes damage and a 50% slow for 1.5 seconds. Those caught in the inner ring take damage and are stunned for 1.5 seconds. Leveling this ability does not increase the slow or stun duration, but it does increase the damage dealt. A slud. 160 at level 1 to 340 at level 3 with 80% magical damage scaling. That's actually a pretty hard hitting ultimate. Leveling this also decreases the cooldown while increasing mana costs. This is a pretty interesting ultimate for Dekker, and it falls in line with what Omega Studios wanted for her. A way that she can act upon her own abilities without having to be totally reliant on her team for follow-up. That ultimate deals a pretty significant amount of damage while providing CC. It's pretty nuts. It'll be a great follow-up for her cage, or it can serve as a way to set up a good cage. I do have some concerns, but first let's take a look at what's changed about Howitzer in this video. His ultimate for one. If you didn't know, Omega changed Howitzer's ultimate so that you have controlled flight after you boost up into the sky, and you also had reduced cooldown on your R2000 rocket so you could pepper people with it from above. What we see in this video is he flies up and fires a volley of rockets at Dekker. I like this change. The way they changed his ultimate was cool, but it somehow didn't fit Howitzer in my opinion. It felt slow and plodding, and I want Howie to be like explosive. Another change you can see is that he has an entire field of slow grenades down instead of like just the line of slowing grenades that he used to have. I'll have to see this in action a bit more to have any kind of opinion on it though. Now let's get into my concerns for Dekker's new kit. On paper at least, it seems way too strong. Unless they also plan to increase the efficacy of the other supports, I can see Dekker being a must pick for every game. I know people are going to want to use her offlane or mid lane, which is fine. Her kit seems to be pretty good for it, but as a support main turned mid main, my honest opinion is that you would be doing your team a massive disservice by playing her as anything other than support. However, I think the only way other supports will ever be picked is if someone takes her mid or offlane. We of course need to play her before making such sweeping assumptions, but I think anyone who has ever played a MOBA can look at what she's capable of and tell you that it's stupid overpowered. The other thing is player frustration. When we look at these overviews, we imagine how we could play this kit, and we often overlook how it's going to be played against us. If you're a carry up against the Dekker, you aren't playing Predecessor anymore, you're playing against Dekker, because if she hits one ability, the rest are going to follow shortly and you're just dead. If you're a support up against Dekker, then what the fuck are you going to do? She stuns your carry, so you stun their carry to prevent damage, but then either you or the carry are now stuck in a cage, then slowed, then possibly stunned again. If the enemy jungler comes in, you're just fucked. On the other hand, the anti-gank capabilities of just Dekker is enough of a deterrent to keep your jungler at bay. When I look at this kit, I can't help but think of the Jeff Goldblum quote from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
And that's all I've got for now, folks. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, sub for more third-person MOBA content, but for now, this is the Mangoose signing off. You guys, have a good one. Mangoose! Special shout out to channel members, Bloodhunter, Jelly Knees, Meow Mix for Men, Stunt, Raven, and Blastoise King.